Today on the Tom Kelly Show, your old pal Tom Kelly slept in the Jeep last night. Oh, let's give you some Star Effort stuff. I also worked in Las Vegas on a game show with Shaquille O'Neil and Gina Rodriguez, but I'll only talk a little bit about that tonight. I vacationed in Maine, and this is going to be one of those touchy-feely... Oh, and I'll do one Justin Timberlake jokes just to make this topical. Let's start the show.
The Tom Kelly Show. Everybody, I want you to go to the Tom Kelly Show. I want you all to know about the Tom Kelly Show.
And here we go. Content warning, spoiler alert, podcasting from the parking lot of a Hampton Inn in Worcester, Massachusetts. You are experiencing the Tom Kelly Show. I am recording this on June 26th at 6 in the morning. And friends, I just slept in this van, and I'll tell you something, when I made the decision to do it, I didn't think it would feel like an accomplishment. Is this the beginning of my van life career? We'll figure that out in a minute. Let's talk about life. It's been a while since I've been in quote unquote real time with you guys, and I don't know if I really am going to be in real time by the time I release this podcast. A lot has been going on in a good way. Or the good news is in a good way. Yeah. There is a great line I sort of heard in church that I'll make my own. It is not an adventure unless something goes wrong and you adapt. I'll also say it's not an adventure if you know what the plan is going to be. It's not an adventure if you know with 100% certainty it's going to work out. Then it's just doing something. So I have had an adventure of a month. I feel like I have to do almost a previously on the Tom Kelly Show. When we were in real time, I was on vacation in Higgins Beach, Maine. And for those of you who are long-term followers of the show, Maine has sort of become my pandemic happy place I'm not quite ready to let go of. It is, I basically rent a beach house on the ocean before the peak prices go up. And I'll tell you, man, Maine weather gets better the closer you get to July and August. And that's when the prices go up. And that's a whole other story later. We'll discuss whether or not I make enough money to, no, I do make enough money. The question is, do I choose to spend my money on that when there's other adventures in life? So, there's so much I want to tell you guys. So the weird thing with my main adventure this year was I was on standby. I had gotten a job offer through my website to work on a game show with, all I was told was a British game show called Lucky 13 in Las Vegas. And now remember, folks, for those of you who are new to the Tom Kelly Show, my name is Tom Kelly. I am a stand-up comedian who has worked at America's Got Talent, The View, the $100,000 Pyramid, The Newlywed Game, Good Morning America, thousands of TV shows and game shows, really dozens, but we'll do really dozen, more than dozen. But whatever the number is, I did not get this job offer because I'm a big shot in TV. I got it because a TV agent in Las Vegas Googled me and looked at my website. And at the same time, I was getting a fake job offer on my website because I was getting bullied by the fans of a TikTok influencer. And so it's funny. So the same week I got my real job offer, I got a fake job offer, and all I could say is the fake job offer was worded better than the real one. On top of that, I'm dealing with British people producing a brand new TV show that got green lit quicker than any show in ABC network history. I don't know if that's true, but that's what people were saying. And to speed through the story, I had no idea if the show was real, because if you Googled this, like everybody I knew in TV, nobody I knew was working on it in New York. And they'll go, what is a Lucky 13? What's a Lucky 13? Are you sure this is real? Put that in your pocket. I put onto Facebook, is anybody working on Lucky 13? And my friend Aaron Solomon, with whom I worked at the $100,000 pyramid, wrote, I am. And the hard part is right now you have people in London working with people in Las Vegas, 8 hours apart. And then you got me, Tom Kelly, brilliant comedian, working out of a beach house in Maine where Verizon cell phone service doesn't quite work. So I didn't get into Maine space. I'll give you one quick ending on the show because I really can't talk too much about the show, except that it's actually a really good game show. Folks, tell your friends. I think the game show actually, if people still watch game shows, this is a good one. Yeah. If it's one part quiz program, as Mrs. Dalton would say, my old babysitter from when I was a kid, and it is one part gambling. So it's pretty exciting. So I do the show. So basically the way I managed my trip this year was I flew from Portland, Maine. And God, I posted a few clips of it. You know, you've met the Delenick family on the podcast. They take such good care of me when I go to Maine. My dad surprised me on my birthday by coming up to the beach house. And so to squeeze an extra day out of my vacation, what happened on my vacation this year was on the front end, I did I was going to go from, let's say, May 25th to roughly June 15th. And on the front end of the trip, Governor's Comedy Club headlined me at the Smithtown Performing Arts Center. That cut off one Saturday. Then I did a fundraiser for my friend Pat McCabe with a bunch of people I knew from the Rosie O'Donnell show, and that was like a week later. I'm so glad I did it on two fronts. One, because it was fun to raise money for my friend Pat, who was one of the good people at Rosie O'Donnell's show, and you could tell by the turnout. Listen, people in TV, myself included, can be a-holes. I don't think there's a bad word to say about Pat McCabe. And so it was fun to do that. And then honestly, when I worked at Rosie O'Donnell, I was 20, 25. It was fun to do stand-up in front of people who never quite knew I had a great stand-up career after I worked with them. And so boom, Tom's act of charity becomes Tom's act of narcissism. Boom. And I could have gone up to Portland, flown back, whatever, but I didn't. I decided to start going up roughly June 3rd or 4th. And because of you're waiting for the phone calls, you're waiting for this, you're waiting for that. I always say when I go to Maine, I'm not quite on vacation, it's a working vacation. And I worked well. It was fun. Yeah, it was actually it was stressful because you're sitting there. I kept driving with my phone. I'm touching the phone right now. I kept driving with the phone 5 minutes north to go into the Verizon zone to see if I got any voicemails. Finally, and any phone call I made had to be made on FaceTime audio, not a real phone call. So I could only call people with Apple phones, with iPhones. So let's just agree, part of the stress was my own infrastructure. And also remember, at this point, when the job started, I did not think the job was real. Did the job, it was great. So this is what I did. I flew. Oh, by the way, on my birthday, just a side note, Chris Delenick made me a cake. And my buddy made me a birthday cake and put the number 62 with the candles. I posted the picture, and I can't tell you how many people, intelligent people, asked me, Tom, are you 62? And, and then a lot of other people just saying nicely, Tom, you look great for 62. Fuck you, I am not 62. But isn't that a great life question? Would you rather look great for 15 years older than you really are, or look okay for your own age, or lie about your age and then people say, no way, you're 25, Tom? And I don't know. Kind of felt good being hot for 62. So, to squeeze an extra day out of my vacation. And again, the day I squeezed was perfect. My dad stayed, my dad drove 8 hours. It's a 6-hour trip, but he drove 8 hours because he drives slow and took the long way. He drove from Long Island up to see me in Portland, Maine. And so it was the perfect day. I keep saying I wouldn't change a thing, but I wouldn't do it the same way again. I've been listening to a lot of positive affirmations, and you're going to hear a lot of that in the next 8 minutes of the show. I wouldn't change a thing, but I wouldn't do it the same way next time. From Portland, Maine. So basically, Portland is a small airport. It's not the smallest airport I've seen on my trip. The smallest airport I've seen on my trip is in Augusta, Maine, where they have basically 3 planes, a Hertz rental, and a Thai restaurant. That's the Augusta airport, Augusta, Maine. The Portland airport, they have a couple, they probably have 8 gates, 9 gates, 10 gates even. And basically it's a great connecting flight. Like the flight from New York to Portland is a dream commuter flight, and I need to do it more. The problem is going to any bigger city, most people in Portland actually drive the hour and a half to Boston, which is an international airport, bigger airport, blah, blah, blah. So because I had a car full of stuff, left my car in my buddy Chris Delennick's driveway in Maine. Got on a plane in Portland, took the plane all the way down to Georgia, to Atlanta, Georgia, and then took a flight up to Las Vegas. No idea if the show was going to be a real show. Lots of mysteries about the show. Turned out to be a great experience. I'll do a Lucky 13 podcast later. Or I'm sorry, glad I did it the way I did it, but I would do it differently next time. I pause for a minute. Possibly the best part of my trip to Las Vegas was meeting a man named J.P. Lambias, and I'm screwing up the pronunciation of his last name. He is a South Korean American adopted by divorced Italian American parents. He is a YouTube star who basically, I'm going to interview him. I already interviewed him. The podcast will air in the coming weeks. He's a YouTube star who made successful cooking shows with his fiance, and the fiance changed all the passwords to their very successful YouTube cooking show in the process of breaking up. You've heard the thing, she took the house in a divorce. Well, this woman took the passwords in the divorce. And I don't know, and listen, there's more, 2 sides to every story, allegedly, whatever words I got to say to not get sued. But he's starting his life over. And he's a stand-up comedian who has money from being an engineer, and he strikes me as one of those guys who's a billionaire in Bitcoin, and also from his YouTube experiences. But he took all his money and is doing stand-up comedy, traveling the country, going from open mic to open mic in the back of a Sprinter van. He's living van life. And that brings me to the last couple of days. What happens when, like Maine is great when you have an expensive beach house. The rainy days are perfect because you could just sit in the expensive beach house and watch the ocean. Maine is different when you're staying with your buddy who has 2 babies and it's raining. You know, and I'll argue anyway, I spent money on one hotel. I had I don't know what I want to do. Do I do the same things that I've done? And the one thing I know for my future vacations is I need to start researching just a little bit more. I can't just walk to town and do something and have it be amazing. Because what happened my second day of being my own boss in Maine, my friend Jeff Lesh recommended that I go to I think it's Fort Worth. I'll put the name of the park. God, I keep forgetting the name. But there is a beautiful state park that every one of you needs to go to, especially my military beach friends. It's basically an old army base from the 1800s that got converted into a beachfront property in Kittery, Maine. And I went on some majestic bike rides there. Sat on the beach and finally caught my nose. I finally was relaxed. And then on the way home last night, I wanted to do a quick YouTube, Instagram video, whatever you want to call it, at a place called Patty Kelly's Pub in Peabody, Mass, where they have a giant espresso teeny for 3 to 5 people. And I wanted to make the joke, this espresso teeny is what Justin Timberlake was, this espresso teeny is the drink that Justin Timberlake was drinking right before he got arrested for drunk driving. There's your first Justin Timberlake joke of the day. The bartender, I made the mistake of telling the bartender, who was very nice, I told the bartender, hey, I'm a comedian and I want to just record the glass. Any chance I could just have a virgin martini? And then she got nervous that her boss would get mad that I was recording in her pub, or his pub. So leave it to a Kelly to screw over another Kelly. But my argument is you have a viral drink. How are you getting mad when I, an Instagram person, want to record and share your viral drink? You're viral. This is the whole point of going viral. And this thing cost $55 and I was willing to pay it. But that's the anger out. She was pleasant, I was pushy, and she said no, and you have to respect that. And also, you have to let your nose lead. You know, this is the affirmation. Listen, one of my little affirmations I listen to in the morning, it's, you know, the things that don't go right lead to lessons. I don't know what so lesson 1 there is, don't tell them you're a comedian until after you get the footage. Lesson two. That's sort of a deceptive lesson, but I think it's the appropriate lesson right now. I mean, I went in like, hey, I'm Tom Kelly. I'm a stand-up comedian. Any chance I could, on my beautiful Instagram with 30,000 followers, I could get a virgin martini and save a couple of bucks? Espresso teeny too, by the way. I love espresso teenies. It's the ultimate 2024 basic bitch drink. Or basic girl drink. But listen, in the 90s, basic women and Tom Kelly loved mudslides. In 2024, the espresso teeny for 48-year-old men is Red Bull and vodka, but better. Because Red Bull always makes me want to get into bar fights. Espresso teeny keeps me lively for an extra hour. But I'm rambling as I bring things back to the show here. JP, stand-up comedian, driving around the country, and is he living my potential dream life? I mean, I've done the math on my apartment. My apartment costs like 30 to 40 grand a year if you do all the New York City expenses. His Sprinter van cost 80 grand. That's 2 years of New York City rent could go into buying an asset. But hang on, it's an asset, it's a van. And he lives in the desert. He lives in warmer climates, and he really is driving. And here I am, a man who is afraid to sleep in his car. And that's what happened last night. Last night, I could have stayed in Kittery, Maine, but I felt like it's time to rip the Band-Aid. I keep hearing the Cat Stevens song, Go Away, I Have to Go Away, or Father and Son is the name of the song, but the lyric is, all I know is I have to go away. And the song just, honestly, I spent time, I heard it on Muzak at the airport, and the gosh darned song got stuck in my head. That song makes me cry every time. I actually talked to my shrink about it a bit. Is it about a dad who's dying? Is it about a son who's leaving his father? Is it about dreams that go unfulfilled if you live a normal life? Is it about what you have to sacrifice when you give up a normal life? And all I know is, I just kept hearing that line, is all I know is I have to go away. I mean, and in my head, I'm out there in Portland, Maine. You know, my two buddies, great guys, but they have to go back to their normal lives. I am in Maine. I'm finally in a new spot, and I don't know where the hell I want to go or what I want to do, and I don't have the balls to sleep in my car. And then this is what happens. I go. I try to do a video, it doesn't quite work out, and then I start driving home, and I'm like, screw this, I'm just going to Massapequa. And listen, I started getting sleepy when I was driving, and it was only midnight. So I started checking hotels, and I probably spent an hour and a half trying to find a place to sleep. I was willing to spend $200 on the hotel. And for whatever reason, every construction guy, if you've been looking at the parking lot, every construction guy in Worcester, Mass is staying at a hotel. And apparently there's a kids baseball team playing in Framingham, Mass, and they're all there. And all I know for sure is, like, Jesus' parents, there was no room at any of them inns. I mean, geez, you know, Jesus and Mary, if they had the Hotels Tonight app, it would have sent them from Nazareth all the way back to Galilee. The towns are all wrong, but you get the spirit of what I just said. And yeah, but all of these disasters led to me sleeping in the driver's seat of my car last night. I only got 6 hours sleep, kept waking up afraid somebody was killing me. I'm not quite camping. Remember, I started this trip packing for two very different vacations / work vacations. I bike with, when I do road trips, I travel with two bikes because there's always a chance I may want to go mountain biking, which I did yesterday. Out of my 10 bike rides, I did get my mountain bike ride in. So I proved the validity of needing to bring two bikes, but I'm an overpacker. Which we have to work on. There's so much we have to work on if I were to travel more or motorhome more or whatever, or motorboat more. Anyway, there's a moral here. Things going wrong led to me doing something that made me feel exciting, and maybe it'll lead to other new job skills. You know, listen, now that I've slept in my car once, I'm more capable to travel for a long distance road gig. I'm also more prepared to be homeless if things fall apart. But, you know, and I know I've been talking to you guys as if this was a long phone call today. If you listen to my friend JP's YouTube show, it's a much more dramatic reality show, and part of me wonders if that's what I should do more with the podcast. We'll discuss that later. But, I have to get in my joke, my Justin Timberlake joke that I promised an hour ago. There's a couple of memes going around that everything happening to Justin Timberlake is justice for what he did to Britney Spears. Folks, whatever is happening to Justin Timberlake is not justice for Britney Spears. If this was justice for Britney Spears, Justin wouldn't be arrested for a low-level DUI. He would be arrested, lose control of all of his assets, his deadbeat dad would be put in charge, and then he'd be suing to be freed. This is not justice for Britney. This is just a couple of bad decisions that will let the justice system take care of itself on that. That wasn't really a joke, that was just an opinion. But bringing things back to my positive affirmation. When this podcast started, this was the podcast where Tom Kelly, one stand-up comedian, gets back to having fun in life. This is the podcast where one stand-up comedian tries to figure life out. And the life lesson today is, what are the lessons you learn when things don't go according to plan? What are the things you achieve when things don't go according to plan? And I know it was time for me to end my vacation. I don't know if it's, I'm homesick a bit. I miss my mom. I miss my dad. I miss my nephews. I don't miss my brother. Don't miss him. He doesn't listen anyway. Don't worry. That was just that was a sibling joke. But it was time to end the vacation. And in my head, I have to change the song from I have to go away to here I go again on my own. And here I go again on my own. Folks, I'm going to air this podcast. I think I am. This is the podcast that, I could ramble about, listen, this podcast is inconsistent. It's wonderfully me. It's contemplative at times when it's not comedy. But the one thing I know for sure is the difference between this being a podcast and one crazy man's video manifesto is you guys listening and commenting. So show love where love can be shown. I'll take you on another adventure later. And until next time, good night, Worcester.